Hello students. Next we will look into the DC Thevenin's and Norton's theorem with dependent sources. Okay. So up till now we had never seen the case of dependent sources. We had only seen the case of independent sources. Now we are coming to the situation where we have to look into the dependent sources also. So So what is important here is this fact that it is for the case of dependent sources. Okay. Now we have already seen that in Thevenin's and Norton's we calculate for the case of Thevenin's we calculate what is called as VTH, and for the resistance we calculate RTH. Now, similarly, if we want to find out Norton's equivalent, we find out IN and RN. Okay. So, this was all the case for independent sources. Now, what is important for you to remember is that in dependent sources, if there is at least one dependent source, then we want to find out VTH and RN, not RN, sorry. We want to find VTH and IN. That's all. We need to find VTH and IN. Then we find out R and RTH. So whether it is Thevenin's equivalent or whether it is Norton's equivalent, we have to find out VTH and IN both. Okay. See, once again let me repeat it. See, when we are talking about Thevenin's, in Thevenin's we calculate only VTH, RTH. In Norton theorem we calculated only IN and RN. Now when we are having the condition of dependent sources, whether you do Thevenin's or whether you do Norton, you have to calculate both VTH and IN, and based on that we will get RTH, RN. Based on that we will get. Why? That we will see once we do the problem. Okay. So let us start with the first thing that we have to remember, that when we are having a dependent source, we never short or open circuit. You remember when we had a voltage source, we used to short circuit it, and whenever we had a current source, we used to open circuit it. Correct? But when you are having a dependent source, whether it is open circuit, whether it is voltage source, whether it is current source, whatever be the case, we never short the dependent source. We never short. So if we are never shorting the dependent source, the problem is that it is very difficult to find out either RTH or RN. It is difficult to find out. But we use a different technique to find out RTH or RN. So for understanding that, let us look at this particular question. Here we have been asked to find out the Norton's equivalent network across terminal A and B. So we have to find out the Norton's equivalent for this one. Okay. So Norton's equivalent means we should find out if this is, we have to find out what is the current IN. Okay. We have to find out what is the current IN, and similarly what is the resistance RN. So how do we go about it? Generally what we do is, so I will write step 1. So step 1 is finding VTH. Finding VTH. So this is the first step. So we know that for finding the VTH, we can redraw the circuit, and then we mark the mesh currents. So let me now use a different color. So let this current be IX and here there is no current, so it is going to be 0, so I'm not going to draw that. And here I am interested in finding out what is VTH. So this is what VTH I want to find out. So since there is no current going to flow in the second mesh, so we need not write any current IY, because even if we write IY, that will be 0. So now we do the KVL. So KVL at mesh. So before doing the KVL, now we, looking at the figure, we can make certain conclusions. One of the conclusion is, see, I2 and IX, they are the same. So I will write I2 is equal to IX. Okay. And since there is no current flowing here, here this current is equal to 0. Now because this current is 0, I can very well say that I1 is only because of IX. And since they are in opposite direction, I can say that I1 is going to be equal to minus IX. Okay, so now everything, there is no I1, I2, there is only IX and minus IX. So it's only of one current, which is IX. So here we are, what we are having instead of I2 is IX, and here what we are having instead of I1 is minus IX. Okay, so we will substitute that. Now we will write the KVL. So KVL at loop or at mesh 1. KVL at mesh 1. So if I write the KVL, then I can say that, okay, this is minus, this is plus. Since the current is going like this, this will be plus, this will be minus. And here, since IX is flowing downwards, the current will be plus minus here. Okay. Now writing from the back of the bogie, I will write minus 5 plus 10 IX plus 5 IX minus 0, which is IX. Okay. So I am not writing I2 or no anything. I am just straight away writing in terms of IX. And then the last is the voltage source, which is again going to be plus 10 I2. That is going to be equal to 0. Now we already have seen here that I2 is equal to IX. Therefore I can write this as minus 5 plus 10 IX plus 5 IX plus 10. Now instead of I2, I will write IX, and that is going to be equal to 0. Now all the IX component I can group together. So I am having 10 IX plus 5 IX plus 10 IX, so that will totally give me 25 IX. So it is going to be minus 5 plus 25 IX is equal to 0. Therefore, I will get Ix is equal to 5 divided by 25, which comes out to be 0.2 amperes. So that is what is going to be my Ix. Now I can write the KVL for the second one. So as you know, there is no current in the second mesh, but I can write the KVL. How do I write the KVL? Listen very carefully. So KVL at mesh 2. Okay, now when we write KVL at mesh 2, since there is no current flowing, we write I is equal to 0. Therefore the voltage developed across this will be equal to 0 volt, whatever be the resistance. Why? Because the voltage is current into resistance. So here the current is 0, so the voltage here will be 0. So no need to write that. Whereas here there is only one current flowing, and that is Ix, and that is flowing in the opposite direction. So I will write this is going to be plus and this is going to be minus. Why? Because Ix is flowing from top to bottom. Okay. So we are having 4 sources or 4 voltage points here. One is because of this, second is because of this, third is because of this, and the fourth one is because of this. So we need to worry only about these 4 voltages. We need not worry about this one. Okay. So now when I write the KVL, I will be writing some back of the bogie. Let me write minus 10 I2, then minus 5ix, then minus 3i1, okay, minus 3i1 plus 0, which I am not going to write, plus VTH is equal to 0. Now we know that, so we know that I2 is equal to Ix, where we know it, we have already seen it here, and I1 is minus Ix, that also where we have seen that, we have seen it here. Okay, so therefore I can write, let me take this little bit more. Okay, therefore I can very clearly say that it is minus 10I2 minus 5, not I2, I should write Ix. Let me write it properly. So it is going to be minus 10ix minus 5ix minus of 3 minus ix. It's multiplication. So that minus and minus will become plus. That we will write later. So it is going to be plus VTH is equal to 0. Therefore, now see, 10ix minus 10ix plus 3ix. So 10 minus 10 minus 5 is minus 15, plus 3 is minus 12. So therefore I can write this is going to be equal to minus 12ix plus VTH is equal to 0, or VTH is equal to 12 times Ix, and we know that Ix is 0.2, so this is 12 into 0.2. Therefore VTH is going to be equal to 2.4 volt. 2.4 volt. That is the VTH value. Okay. Have I made any mistake? No. Okay. So that is step 1. So step 1 we have done. That is finding VTH. Next, see, if it was normal Nortons, the question is asking for Nortons, isn't it? If it was normal Norton, I would have first find out IN then RN. But here I am first finding VTH. Why I am doing this? Because I have already told you, always remember, whenever there is a dependent source, we cannot find out RTH or RN. We cannot find out RTH or RN. Both of them cannot be found out. So we have to resort to a different method for finding out RTH and RN. Okay. For that, first we find out VTH, that we have already found. Next we have to find IN. So that is a step 2. Okay. So step 2 is, let me write in a different paper. So next is step 2, and step 2 is find, step 2, and step 2 is find IN, which is the Norton's current. And for that again we will have to redraw the whole circuit. So this is the circuit I have drawn, and then what do? We basically short the two terminals, and we short them, and then we write that this current is IN. Okay. Now if that is the case, then this one I will write it as Ix, okay, and this one I will write it as Iy, which is basically IN itself. So let me write this as IN. Okay, why? Because since I have already marked here it is IN, so this mesh current should be IN. Okay, this mesh current should be IN. Okay, therefore now I will use the mesh. So from the figure now I can say I2 is equal to Ix, that is okay. Whereas what about I1? Now I1, see, some of you had asked me this doubt. How do we write it? See, either you consider this point, this node, and you can see that Ix is incoming here, and IN is outgoing here, and I1 is also incoming. So you can directly write the equation like this. You can directly write the equation by KCL. From KCL, not case, yeah, from KCL I will get Ix, which is incoming, so plus Ix. I1 is also incoming, so plus I1. In is outgoing, so minus In is equal to 0, from which I can get, therefore I1 is going to be equal to In minus Ix. That is one way of doing it. Okay. Another way of doing it is what I look at it. How I do it is I see it slightly different. For example, I consider that okay, this is a branch in which I want to look at what is the current. Some resistance is there, let it be. If suppose I want to find out what is this current, let that current be named as I1 as it is written here. And there is one current which is going in this direction, which I have named it as Ix, and another current which I have drawn in opposite, again clockwise direction only, which is again In. Now as far as that central branch is concerned, In is moving in this direction. Okay, that is your In. Why? Because we have drawn the loop like this. We have drawn the loop like this, isn't it? The loop current, we have drawn it like this. Whereas Ix is in opposite direction. Let me draw that one also. So Ix is going to be in this direction. Okay, Ix. So now I am having two currents, I1 going up and Ix going down, and even I1 is going up. So I1 and In are in same direction. So I will write I1 is equal to In minus Ix. Why? Because I1 and In are in same direction. So I will write I1 is equal to In minus Ix. If Ix direction would have been opposite, suppose if it had been going down, then it is same as Ix direction. Then I would have written I1 is equal to Ix minus In. So either you use this principle or you use the nodal one. It does not matter, your answer will be the same. You can use this nodal method or you can use this method. I find this method more easier to or quickly to do. This is quite quick, whereas the nodal method requires you to write some more thing. Whereas my method or the method that is generally followed by others is same. We all follow this method what I just now drew here. Okay. So I2 is there, I1 is also found out. Now I want to find out In. So KVL at mesh 1. KVL at mesh 1. So KVL at mesh 1. So this is minus, this is plus, this is plus, this is minus. Again coming here, this is plus, this is minus. So back of the bogey I will write minus 5 plus 10 Ix plus 5. Now there is In also. So 5, and since Ix is the main mesh right now, so this is Ix minus In. Okay, plus 10 I2. 10 I2. What is I2 here? I2 we have already found out is Ix. So I will write straight away as Ix, and that is going to be equal to 0, from which I can take all Ix parts together. So this is 10 Ix, 5 Ix, 10 Ix, which gives me 25 Ix, 25. Therefore 25 Ix, and which is the In? In is only one, which is minus 5 In is equal to plus 5. And that is my first equation for solving the two unknowns Ix and In. That is the first equation. What about the second equation? Second equation is for the second KVL. KVL at mesh 2. What is the KVL at mesh 2? So again, In direction. So this one now, so I should use a different pen here. So now because In is the mesh I am talking about, so this will be entering current plus minus. Here this will be the entering point and this will be the leaving point for current In. So it is plus minus like this. There are no other things. So now how many voltages are there? Right now again there are 4 voltages. One for this one because of this one, another one because of this, and the last one because of this. Okay, so 4 voltages we have to write. So from mesh 2 I will get, from back of the bogie, if I am again going to write, so minus 10 I2 is already, we have seen it is Ix, plus, oh sorry, I have to, okay, so minus 10 I2 we already know is Ix, so minus 10 Ix plus 5 In minus Ix minus 3I1 plus 10In. Okay, now what is I1? What is I1? I1 we have already seen here. What is I1? Is In minus Ix. So that we will have to substitute later. This is going to be equal to 0. Therefore now I can write this is minus 10 Ix, no problem, plus 5 In minus 5 Ix, that also is no problem, minus 3. Now I1 is In minus Ix, so I will write minus 3 In, and this minus and this minus will become plus, so I will get plus 3 Ix. Okay, plus 3 Ix. Let me remove what I have drawn here. Yeah, okay, so plus 3 Ix, and then plus 3 Ix plus 10 In is equal to 0, from which I can take all the x, which is minus 10 minus 5 plus 3, which is minus 12 Ix, and In is 5 minus 3, which is 2, plus 10 is plus 12 In is equal to 0. So that is going to be my second equation. Okay, that is going to be my second equation. The first equation is 25 Ix minus 5 In is 5. And the second one is minus 12 Ix plus 12 In is equal to 0. Solving both of this, I will get the value of Ix and I1. So solving 1 and 2, I will get the value of Ix to be 0.25 amperes and In also to be 0.25 amperes. Okay, so we have found out In. That was what our aim was, correct? We wanted to find In as our step 2. So first step is to find VTH. Second step is to find In. Now coming to the third step. Third step is to find Rn. So step 3 is find Rn. Okay, and there is no problem at all. It is very simple. Rn is equal to VTH divided by In. VTH we have already calculated, it is 2.4 volt. In we have already calculated just now, it is 0.25 amperes, correct? So that gives me the value as 9.6 ohms. Very simple. VTH divided by In. Where did we get this equation? That I will just now tell you. Okay, now because this was Norton's, okay, because this was Norton's, I found out Rn. If it was not Norton's, if I had to find Thevenin's, then I would have found out RTH with the same equation, VTH divided by In. Same equation I would have used. Why? Because RTH and Rn are both same. Now where did we get this idea? Again, let me first complete this problem and then we will do. So therefore, Norton's equivalent is a current source, and the current source is having a value of 0.25 amperes, and a resistor, and the resistor has a value Rn which is 9.6 ohms. So here you have A and B represented by a Norton's equivalent. Okay, now if this was not Norton's equivalent, okay, so the problem is over here. If this was not Norton's equivalent, if I had to find out what is the Thevenin's equivalent, all the steps would have been same step, no change other than the last step 3. That last step will only change. Instead of finding Rn, I will write find step 3, find, instead of Rn I will write Rth. And what is the equation? The equation is the same. Rth is equal to Vth divided by In. So once again, let's look at the question. The question is asking, find the Norton's equivalent, correct? Find the Norton's equivalent. Find the Norton's equivalent. They are asking to find the Norton's equivalent. If instead of this, if it would have been the Thevenin's equivalent, okay, no change in the whole problem. Step 1 will be same, finding Vth. Step 2 will be same, finding In. Step 3 we will have a change. Instead of finding Rn, we will find out Rth, but the equation is again the same. Here whatever we have used the equation for Rn, that same equation we will use for Rth. And instead of drawing it like this, now we will draw that the voltage source Vth is, what is the voltage source we had found out? Vth was, sorry, let me use, yeah, I would have drawn Vth, if you remember, we had found out to be 2.4 volt, and the current, the resistance would be again Rth, same 9.6 ohms. Okay, 9.6 ohms. That is only difference, no other difference. So when you are doing, that's why I combine both of them together in a single topic. Because whether it is a Thevenin's equivalent you have to find out, or whether it's a Norton's equivalent you have to find out. If it is with a dependent source, the steps are the same. Always remember, if it is a dependent source, you cannot find out Rth or Rn by simply shorting the voltage source and the current source and all those things. Nothing. For the case of dependent source, you have to always remember, we neither short nor open circuit. Now, as I told you, one more aspect I had to remind you. Why is this working like this? Because they are equivalent circuit. That means if suppose you are having Vth and Rth, if you know Vth and Rth, and if you want to find out your Norton's equivalent with this information, what information? That you are having Vth and Rth. If you want to find out the Norton's equivalent, we have to find out Rn. Well, Rn is same as Rth. Where is the Rth? This is the Rth. What about current? Current will be Vth divided by Rth. So what we always have to remember is that it is interchangeable. If you have the Thevenin's equivalent circuit with only values Vth and Rth, you can find out the Norton's equivalent by writing Rn is equal to Rth and In is equal to Vth by Rth. And it is vice versa. That means if you know Rn, so let me draw it. Let me take this whole thing slightly up so that I'm going to draw it here itself. Okay. Okay. So now if I am having, I can do it vice versa. How? If I am having IN, if I am having IN and I know RN, and I know Rn, I can always find what is the Thevenin's equivalent. How do I find out what is the Thevenin's equivalent? By writing that here the RTH value will be same as Rn, and VTH will be equal to, you only know IN and Rn, isn't it? So VTH will be going to be equal to IN into Rn. Or in short, what you have to remember is RTH is equal to Rn and VTH is same as IN into RTH or Rn, whatever. These two equations, remember, everything will be okay in Thevenin's and Norton's. Okay, so that is how we do this particular problem. Thank you.